Everyone loves sugar. Sugar is everywhere, in the cafe jars for our coffee, in the ingredients we use for baking, in the food we eat, or just this sweet thing we put on and in everything. Our typical perception of sugar is that of something harmless and delicious. But beyond mere human perception lurks a true menace, because sugar is basically poison for your body, despite what you may hear or what is sold to you on the market. So stay tuned to find out what is really up with sugar. Sugar, believe it or not, has ruined the developed world. The reasons for this are many. Most people know that sugar contains empty calories, devoid of nutritional value of any sort. There are no amino acids, essential fats, vitamins, or minerals in sugar, just pure energy. When people eat up to 10 to 20% of calories as sugar or more, this can become a major problem and contribute to nutritional deficiencies. Sugar is also terrible for the teeth because it provides easily digestible energy for the bad bacteria in the mouth and leads to gingivitis and other problems. Another issue is the presence of high fructose content in modern foods and diets, especially in the United States. To properly understand what is so bad about sugar, you have to understand what it is made of. Before sugar enters the bloodstream from the digestive tract, it is broken down into two simple sugars, namely glucose and fructose. Glucose is found in every living cell on the planet. If you don't receive it from your diet and you are glucose deprived, your body produces it through a process called gluconeogenesis. Fructose is also a sugar, but it is different. Unlike glucose, which can and is stored in both the liver and muscles as something called glycogen, fructose cannot be synthesized in the body like glucose and is not absolutely necessary and can only be processed by the liver, meaning it is very easy to overload on fructose. It is naturally contained in fruit, but as fruit has lots of fiber, and fiber helps to filter out the negative effects of excessive fructose, fruit is not really a huge issue. However, excess fructose is easily converted to fat and is one of the leading causes of obesity because of the prevalence of fructose in junk food and fast food. Though there is also great individual variability here, people who are healthy and active can tolerate more sugar than people who are inactive and eat a Western high-carb, high-calorie, high-fructose diet. When fructose gets turned into fat in the liver, it is shipped out as something called VLDL, cholesterol particles, or very low lipoprotein density cholesterol particles. However, not all the fat gets out. Some of it can get lodged in the liver. This can lead to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NAFLD, a growing problem in Western countries that is strongly associated with metabolic diseases. Studies show that individuals with fatty liver consume up to 2 to 3 times as much fructose as the average person. The way sugar affects hormones in the brain is a recipe for fat gain disaster. It leads to decreased satiety and can get people addicted so that they lose control over their consumption. Unsurprisingly, people who consume the most sugar are by far the most likely to become overweight or obese. This applies to all age groups. Many studies have examined the link between sugar consumption and obesity and found a strong statistical association. The link is especially strong in children, where each daily serving of sugar-sweetened beverages, or fructose, is associated with an incredible 60% increased risk of obesity. For this reason, one of the most important things you can do if you need to drop weight is significantly cut back on sugar consumption. Insulin is a very important hormone in the body. It allows glucose, or blood sugar, to enter cells from the bloodstream and tells the cells to start burning glucose instead of fat. Having too much glucose in the blood is very harmful and one of the reasons for complications of diabetes and blindness. One feature of the metabolic dysfunction that is caused by the Western diet is that insulin stops working as it should. The cells become, quote-unquote, resistant to it. This is also known as insulin resistance, which is believed to be a leading driver of many diseases, including metabolic syndrome, obesity, cardiovascular disease, and especially type 2 diabetes or adult onset diabetes. Many studies show that sugar consumption is associated with insulin resistance, especially when it is consumed in large amounts. When our cells become resistant to the effects of insulin, the beta cells in our pancreas make more of it. This is crucial because chronically elevated blood sugar can cause severe harm. Eventually, as insulin resistance becomes progressively worse, the pancreas can't keep up with the demand of producing enough insulin to keep blood sugar levels down. At this point, blood sugar levels skyrocket, and a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes is made. Given that sugar can cause insulin resistance, it is not surprising to see that people who drink sugar-sweetened beverages have up to an 83% higher risk of type 2 diabetes. For many decades, people have blamed saturated fat for heart disease, which is the #1 killer in the world. However, new studies have shown that saturated fat is probably harmless. The evidence is mounting that sugar, not fat, may be one of the leading drivers of heart disease via the harmful effects of fructose on metabolism. Studies show that large amounts of fructose can raise triglycerides, small dense LDL, and oxidized LDL, or low-density lipoprotein, raise blood glucose and insulin levels, and increase abdominal obesity in as little as 10 weeks. These are all major risk factors for heart disease. Not surprisingly, many observational studies find a strong statistical association between sugar consumption and the risk of heart disease. And cancer is one of the leading causes of death worldwide as well, and is characterized by uncontrolled growth and multiplication of cells. Insulin is one of the key hormones in regulating this sort of growth. For this reason, many scientists believe that having constantly elevated insulin levels, which is a consequence of sugar consumption, can contribute to cancer. In addition, the metabolic problems associated with sugar consumption are a known driver of inflammation, another potential cause of cancer. Multiple studies show that people who eat a lot of sugar are at a much higher risk of getting cancer. Finally, sugar can be addictive for a lot of people. Like abusive drugs, sugar causes a release of dopamine in the reward center of the brain. The problem with sugar and many junk foods is that they can cause a massive dopamine release, much more so than we were ever exposed to from foods found in nature. Because of this, people who have a susceptibility to addiction can become strongly addicted to sugar and other junk foods. The well-known message of everything in moderation may not be the best idea for people who are addicted to junk food, because the only thing that works for true addiction is abstinence. Some studies have even shown that the sugar addiction effect is as strong as that associated with the cocaine addiction effect. So the next time you grab a spoonful of sugar for your morning coffee, or grab a cookie, be aware of the consequences, because they might just cost you your life. For more top lists just like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to check out our other lists. And thanks for watching, and thanks for learning.